This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
I really don't know what comes up whenever we talk with her. You never know what's going to come up, the insight you're going to get. And this is stuff that we don't experience, although, as I understand it from her, we can because of our intuition. I'm talking about a psychic medium. It's been said, I've heard it from her, that if we focus on it, we all have some type of intuitiveness. And we're going to dig into that today. How that all works, how you get messages potentially from the other side. Stacy, Psychic Stacy, is back with us. How you doing?
Pretty well. How about you?
I am good. I'd love to start with an email that we've got since the last time you were on with us, and actually a few of them. And by the way, you can reach us instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. This is from Tara in Clearwater, Florida. She says, do you hear voices that guide you when you're doing readings?
Downloads, quiet nudges. Yes, I do. And yes, it's sometimes spirit world, my guides, connecting up with me. And sometimes they get very, very insistent. And but it's usually not in your face unless it's an important message that I have to give, unless they're insistent and it gets louder. But it's just kind of there. And, like when I was doing the reading with you, it's just there. It comes up and it's there.
Wait, how do you describe a download?
A download is just information. It's appearing right there, and it's of the light, not of the dark. And of course, getting into that side of it, which we may approach here later, got to make sure that you're getting correct information in, and you're tapping into that higher vibrating energy, which brings you the downloads. And at least that's how it works for me. And but it's just there. And it's very quiet, very not real pronounced, unless it's a message, meaning you're in danger. I've gotten more insistent if somebody is going to try to kill themselves. I've gotten in that. Or accidents that'll happen, and please don't go that way, and please take care of your car. Don't go that route. I have done that before, but usually that's a little more insistent. But usually it's just, or else, like one time, for example, I was with someone that I was dating, and I was on the back of the motorcycle, and we were out. Omaha is not too far. Iowa, right next door. Council Bluffs, that area, and but we were in just a ways into Iowa, real pretty area. But anyways, a small town, abandoned, very small, just a few things, but a cemetery was there, and 1800s, I believe that cemetery was there. All of a sudden I started getting messages, and I'm going, hey, I can't give I don't know who to give this to.
Ooh.
And and some of them were really creepy, and then it turns out they gave me a message with the person I was with. And which was not good, that they were trying to give me messages, but then they were trying to, I'm going, I can't, and I apologized saying, I cannot, you've been here for a while. Everyone is probably passed. And I didn't have anywhere to take it, but there was specific meaning, more personal, meant for me, that they wanted to. And we're out in the middle of nowhere, literally. And of course, as you know, Nebraska and Iowa have, Kansas, a lot of little towns, and a lot of them. And but this was really a pretty area, kind of rolling hills, and but yeah, a small church, yeah, about 1800s.
That's got to
And
be, I mean, of all places, passing a cemetery too. Um,
yeah, I can't live by a cemetery. Um, yeah, there were times there were apartments like in Omaha. I'm going, no, no, can't be by that. Don't want to be by the mortuary or the cemetery.
oof.
Um, I would be busy and interrupted. And yeah,
How
but
would you
yeah,
shut that off?
you can. I've learned to a little bit more. It's just you also say, excuse me, I'm off duty. Well, unless it's something really important, I'm literally you talk to the energy, you talk to um the presences, and I can't take it right now, kind of off right now, and learn how to cut out that. But it's a lot of it's a process and a learning curve. And some of this is very individual. Like I said, certain psychic mediums are different in how they get information, how they process it, different types of abilities, that sort of thing. And but it's a process of what works for you, basically. And but sometimes, and and of course people say, well, isn't that mental health? And you're going, no, let's be very clear. And I hate this when we get into this discussion. um, for one, our mental health system is sorely lacking. But um, there's a big difference between somebody who's, say, schizophrenic, who a lot of times hears voices, occasionally bipolar, they will. But this is much different. And we need to draw a line in the sand of what's mental health and somebody who's truly gifted and psychic. And I think sometimes that's on purpose, so they can
Mm.
discredit you. Because I ought to know that's happened to me, and that's intentional to keep you, stuck, to keep you defamation of character. And but yeah, there is times, but it's very quiet, it's nuanced, and I get little things. I hear things, meaning Claudette, I can't even pronounce it, um, where you're hearing things, and I occasionally see things. I kind of tap into all of it, but there are a few things, strengths, and I think that's true with most of us. So you have strengths within certain abilities. Um, but yeah, I do occasionally, and you need to pay attention, but you need to be able to discern, you know, what exactly where it's coming from, and you can test that out too.
So I
I
have another one. And this one's interesting. They all are actually. This is Nicole, Pompton Lakes, New Jersey, and she says, "I've thought about taking classes on intuition. How do you get to the point where you trust your intuition?"
um sometimes it's trial and error, but it's getting to know you and getting to know. There are things like you can start out small. Occasionally, I'll use the pendulum. That's about it, what I do. But it just, for me, it's always just been there. It's right there, get go. I don't use any other tools, but literally, I've used pendulum. I'll ask small questions like, and test it out, and use the pendulum to ask a question right now, and then whatever I get in, it gets validated basically. But you can ask questions and say, "Oh, what am I wearing today?" And then obviously it's a blue, and then of course you use the pendulum because your energy is it's a tool. It's you're using the it's like tarot cards or anything else. It's a modality, and your energy literally is vibrating, but you need to make sure you're clear. You need to make sure that you're present, you're clear, you've done some meditation, you've cleared out any energy that shouldn't be there to give you
Mm.
incorrect information intentionally. Um, and other things, but it's just a process. And the more you test it out, the more you become stronger and going, I got it. And sometimes it's just there and you know that it's, and then it proves out to be true. Now, sometimes the validation doesn't always come right away, but it can take a little bit. But you will get it. And sometimes you get validations right away. And like, you know, it can come in the form of something loud happening just right after you're saying it, like confirmation. Thank you.
Mm.
um, or somebody will say something to you that will confirm it, or that sort of thing. So it's a matter of trusting and doing little experiments, small little things like using a pencil, asking questions, small questions, and getting validation that way, and then kind of a stepping stone. It's about knowing you and also trusting you and that inner voice.
How do you get there though? Because I would imagine for you in this journey, it didn't start out that way. You
Mm-mm.
weren't just born with, um, well, we're all born with intuition, but you weren't born with a level of intuition that can be used to provide comfort, closure, clarity, and then trusting it. You know,
No,
like,
I wasn't. And I'm like all of us, that are, I know I have certain missions here on this earth, and apparently some of them kind of big because of what I do and what I go after and what I get in. But I had pretty much, I've really not had a lot of supporters over the years, and right now I have no family, or which I thought it was family that I'm in contact with. So I've completely cut off contact from them. But that I did not receive a lot of validation, more the gaslighting that we talk about. And unfortunately, we live in a society that does not uplift people. We, through, it's about not loving yourself or being secure with yourself, but I think it's inner strength, the quiet knowing, and a connection to, whatever source, universe, God, whatever term you would like to use. But it's something much greater
have
than
you
me.
you had those moments in later years where you got something but you doubted it?
Yes, absolutely. And just recently here, and I wanted to ask you about that. We talked about Minnesota. I've been picking up things, but unable to get people to get back to me. But I did doubt it briefly. I'm going, no, I'm getting this in. So sometimes it's you get it in repeatedly, and it keeps on hitting you until you voice it, until you get it to the correct, and sometimes that's very difficult to do, to get it to the proper channels, but sometimes you just have to put it out there. It's, I don't know who this is meant for, but here it is. But
Mm.
um usually I try to get it to, whether it's, criminal law enforcement, that sort of thing. You try to get it to the proper channels. But it once again, it's a process, and it's taken years for me. And when you have a lot of people that are not supporting you, and hopefully you have a support system, and I encourage people to get that, however that may be, whether it's a family of choice, because a lot of times the people closest to us are not, our support system are not comforting at all, and rather they do quite the opposite. Now, if you're lucky to have family that's very supportive of you and your journey, then that's great. So that also a foundation there, but it's just more a sense of self and connection to other things, meaning source, universal type energy, and just knowing. I've always known on a deeper level that I'm here for pretty big things. But and I've gone after some of that, as you know, with the human trafficking, the drug trade, the organ trafficking and the pedophile rings. That, it's just a deeper sense of knowing, and
Do
it
you
takes a while.
do you find that you get more messages from, I guess it would be more psychic as opposed to medium, because isn't a medium more of connection to the other side?
Yes, yes, it
Okay.
is. And
Would you say the messages you get, they're more on the psychic level? Not to say you don't do the medium side either, but is it more
it's
psychic driven?
it's it's a combination of them. Um, and of course, medium, I'm always getting, yeah, messages, and psychically I get hits. But sometimes it's interwoven, and sometimes it's hard to separate it out one with the other, because you utilize both your psychic abilities, and I just get downloads. They're just there. And it's, use both of it in getting those messages. And it's, for me, it's just a little hard to separate out both, because I utilize both of those energies.
Mm.
So and sometimes there's been days that it's just like when it rains, of course, it's just whew, and I'm getting one right after another. And it's like, okay, I need to meditate. I need to go out in nature is another good way to get grounded and to meditate. But um, and I know there's a lot of intuition courses, but at the end of the day, it's, once again, it centers more on you, and trusting and knowing. And you can have everyone, a lot of psychic mediums telling you this, but until you put it in motion, until you start the process of trusting, of starting out small, asking little questions, but the validation starts to come when you start doing it more frequently. And it's practice. Yeah, practice makes perfect.
There,
Um,
there are places that quote unquote certify psychics. I don't know if you've heard of them.
yeah.
Do you think is that legitimate from your
Well,
understanding?
well, yeah. And especially back here in Nebraska, because there's a lot going on back here. Um, I always try to seek out, but at the end of the day, I'm being told that you need to trust yourself on this. And that means going in deep, and means getting to know you, your shadow sides, as well as um, who you are as a person. But once you tap into that, then the rest has a way of coming and flowing. But as far as um, there are a lot of people that do that are, some would say very helpful, very useful, gives you tools. It's supposed to give you tools to get to that place that you want to be, and to help guide you. But I don't know. I never did that route. For one, sometimes money factor, but I just went. I've always, from the get go, just gone there.
Mm.
Like remote viewing, it was just there for me. And I remember it being just there at the age of like 3 or 4. So I think probably from the get go, I was born. This was here, and it's always been there. And not everybody it is sometimes. But once again, we live in a society that wants to shut that down. Because once again, if we're in tapped and we're in tune and we're authentic and we're in our purpose and we're getting that information, then intuitive hits and nudges, we're being told to ignore it. a lot of times. We're being told that that doesn't exist, that you must be crazy, that that isn't happening. And of course, you need to pull yourself back and say, okay, you know, well, no, for starters, that isn't true. I'm being gaslit. um, and to know why, go within and say, why would this person be saying that? And a lot of times it's covering up what they're hiding, and you're exposing things is basically in a nutshell.
Now,
Some
you
people,
said tools. What are your tools? Are there certain tools that you use? And it could be, yeah, anything, tangible or not.
yeah, once again, meditation, going out in
Okay.
nature, connecting it that way. Um, how I take care of myself. Music, like I said, is a big thing. There are mediums and energies that music is their source of go to. It also helps me connect. But going out and nature, and if you can get to parks even to access it somewhat, and taking walks and just connecting that way. Also, how I take care of myself, what I put in my body, and that also, not only being good to yourself, but being kind to yourself, but kind to others.
Mm.
It's a, we talk about it, but it's so rarely used. There's a difference between being nice and kind. There's a lot of people who are nice that it's fake, it's phony. Kindness is true giving of to others, and actually to yourself. Compassion, and which there's lack of, but tapping into all of that. And I also do a lot of spiritual rituals, but we talked about saging, salt, but taking spiritual baths I do, but sometimes just quiet and contemplating, and going within and
So
recognizing.
have you ever freaked out? Like gotten something where it's like, what is that?
Yes,
Like,
yes,
but I mean,
yes.
a
When I'm
level of
getting
fear.
when I'm getting like bomb energy going off, I'm going where or getting mass shootings, I'll get that in.
Mm.
Um, and it turns out to be correct. Um, yes, a little bit. I'm going, I need to get this to somebody. I need to do this. I can't wait. This is more urgent. um, yeah, there is a little sense of anxiety. And then I try to do things to calm myself. And there's frequencies out there that's been talked about. There's a level of frequencies that precise frequencies. If you're too high, it creates chaos. Too low, it creates an element of depression, sadness in people. But you have to have a precise frequency. And Albert Einstein and Tesla knew this, but
Sure.
it's a precise frequency. And of course, we're being blasted with very negative frequencies from radio towers, from, you know,
People,
um,
people in general. There's so many
yes,
negativity going on, and we all emit a frequency or various
yes,
frequencies.
and a vibration. And
Yeah.
it's hard to maintain one a little higher, because when it gets lower, but that's what they want you to be at, a lower vibrating frequency.
So
Is in
what's
your
the best way if somebody wants a reading from you, Stacy, or that maybe they have questions, even like Nicole we talked to who had that question about intuition. How do they find you?
Stacy, the psychic medium, uh, gmail.com. And you can reach me still on Instagram, even though I'm not doing my videos. I've gone to Facebook, and to do my music videos, but you can reach me at both and message me on both Instagram and Facebook would be the better bets.
Thank you for the insight.
Thank you.
A lot of us wonder about this stuff. And
Oh, yes.
I envy you, but I don't envy you. If that makes sense. Just,
Yeah,
be,
I've had people that say they want to be me, and that's another story of copycat energy, which is not good right now. I've had some issues with that, but
but you know what I
if,
mean, where it's like, I want to be you to be able to,
but you don't want to do the work to get there.
not necessarily. Well, yes, that's just not my thing, although I'm
Well,
totally on board for it. But it's also the driving on a bike past the cemetery and hearing all these things like I'm good. I need my peace too. Thank you for today, and
thank
we'll catch up
you.
soon, okay?
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.